is another episode of the Backstage Podcast. I'm Joe Connor.
I'm JT Harker. We have Sacramento State alumni, Grant High School great,
Yeah.
and NorCal and really worldwide dunking legend.
Yeah.
A dude, this is our first guest that I've never even spoken to Jameel. I just played against him a couple times. But this is Jameel Pugh. Give it up for him.
What's up, man? Welcome to the show, bro.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Man, so like I was saying, this is the first time every guest we've had has either been a friend of both of ours or a friend, somebody we knew personally. I was around you playing against you, but I don't even think we ever spoke a word to each other unless we were talking smack on the court. And and not to mention you were a soft-spoken guy, so that probably didn't happen.
Right, yeah.
But
I probably just played.
Yeah, you just played. I'm going to give you a quick story about the first time I was around you, and then I want you to kind of go into kind of a little bit about your basketball journey and tell me if you remember this. So I'm from San Jose, California. Okay. I played at Valley Christian High School in San Jose, and at one point I got picked up because I had the best 3 games of my life in AAU, and I got picked up by the Oakland Rebels.
Oh, okay.
So I played a few tournaments for the Oakland Rebels, including out in Vegas. And then one of my high school coaches had an AAU program. And what he did was he recruited some of the best players from the Rebels, some of the best players from San Jose, and then some other players as well. And he took that team. So some of the players from the Rebels were butthurt. So we're in this one tournament we enter in Alameda. The Rebels were in that tournament, and they wanted to beat us so bad. And I don't think you've been around for I know you weren't around for the rest of the tournament, but one day, the day that we're playing the Rebels, this dude shows in with the biggest calves I've ever seen in my life. He wasn't the tallest dude, but he looked like a linebacker. Right. He looked like a linebacker in basketball uniform, walks in. And I'm telling you, Joe, I think I even told you this story years ago, but you don't remember his name. Dude. First play of the game, one of his guys shoots the ball. It bounces off the back of the rim. We've got 3 guys out there that are 6'8", 6'9", 6'10". No one was getting to this ball. It was so high in the air. Jameel jumps from almost practically – it felt like it was the free throw line over everybody. Yeah. And I'm telling you, this is the greatest non-dunk I've ever seen in my life because he didn't quite get it down. But it was so incredible that it's better than almost every other actual dunk I've ever seen in my life.
That is nuts.
That's how high this guy got in the air. But Jameel, that's how I first knew you.
Wow, man, you took it all the way back to the Rebels, man. I kind of started off with the Rebels in a sense. I moved around a lot, and I was living in the Bay at the time. And so playing for the Rebels. I had family who was coaching and stuff like that, and then they picked me up like randomly, like, "Hey, can you play this tournament?" And
but sure that's kind of how
random. It's like it's funny though because that's kind of how like a lot of my career kind of went with sports. It was just like a random occurrence led to a bigger opportunity and a bigger opportunity and a bigger opportunity. So I'm not surprised at all that the one time I played in that tournament led to you and I interacting that way.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that because I want to hear about because I know you as a Sacramento guy, but I'm a Bay Area guy. But I remember because, when you play against guys, you know how it is, especially back then, you follow them as much as you can because it's exciting to see guys you play against go do stuff and just keep track of everybody. And back then, what did we have? If you were doing really big things, like you got in Slam Magazine, I played against Tyson Chandler, who obviously went to do some big things. But you had like the publications and you had some websites, and back then the websites were kind of bunk. It was just like, it was,
Definitely.
But I remember
everybody has a website and a blog.
Exactly.
But I remember you, Jameel, popping on because they had the top 50 recruits in the country, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what publication it was that had it, but it was like the main one. And I remember you sneaking in, right? You surged near the end and you got in. You were number 50. You snuck in there.
Bro, look, man, how that happened was crazy because, I'll start with this. I'm originally from the Bay, born in Oakland, lived all throughout the Bay, Alameda, living in Fremont for quite some time. Okay. And how I ended up in Sacramento was my mom had moved up a semester before, and I was staying with a mentor, And the coach was not really feeling me, man. We just kept butting heads back and forth. And one day he says, come into my room fourth period. PE coach. Dude walks in and says, look, I'm cutting you from the team. You know, right in the middle of the semester of my sophomore year, I'm playing varsity. I'm thinking lifestyle. You know, I'm trying to like build my career. And I was like, wow, you know, he cut me off the team, said that everybody voted or whatever. I wait for him after school to give him all my gear. And he's like, just wait right here real quick outside the front of the locker room. Dude goes out the back of the damn locker room, right? I waited out there for 45 minutes, end up going home. My mentor was like, yo, look, you haven't been, you know, on your game, because he's really big into my academics. And he says, so I'm going to be kicking you out and you're going to have to go live with your mom. So on one day I got kicked out the house and kicked off the team and ended up in Sacramento that Saturday.
So that's how you ended up in Sacramento.
Yeah, but previous to that, when you and I played against each other, I was living in Fremont playing for the Rebels. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So then I get to Sac, and
but let me ask you this: what was your high school that you were going to when you got cut?
Washington High School. I was playing for
I know
Coach
Washington.
Boggs.
We used to play in their tournament.
Yep.
Washington High, with that really nice NBA style court.
Yeah. With the rough fold out rims and the scoreboard from the ceiling.
Yeah,
and,
that's crazy. What year was that?
96, 97. I was my sophomore year. So
okay,
it was halfway through my sophomore year. Yeah.
Okay.
So then I get to Sacramento, and a couple other things happened, and I ended up at Grant. But how I ended up in the top 50 players in the country, go through my whole junior year, no recruitment, no nothing. Nike coach comes to see me play. We came to see our practice after season was over, or whatever, right? And he came to see my teammate, but my coach was like, I don't know, you might want Pugh too. So, you know,
who was your teammate?
His name was Ronald Dostie.
Okay.
And so, he's big time rebounder, 6'5" guy, super athletic. Okay. And coach was like, Pugh, do a couple of dunks. So I, you know, windmill, do all these crazy things, whatever. And the dude was like, yeah, I want that kid too. Yeah. We go to a tournament at the Boo Williams Classic out in Virginia, right?
Okay.
I don't know if you know Luke Whitehead. He's from the Bay.
Yeah, I know Luke White. He was either my class or the year below me.
He went to Louisville. So we're in this tournament, right? And Boo Williams, he goes up for a dunk, splits his finger, has to go get stitches, right? So at the time, I hadn't played at all. You know what I mean? I come in for him, and I just went off, bro. I was like averaging like 25 a game. People throwing me lobs. And then by the time I get home from that tournament, like you said, top 50 in the country, bro.
Boom,
I was like, went from no letters, no recruitment to 25, 30 letters a day to phone ringing off the hook, people calling my school. And I was just like, you know, didn't know how to handle it because it was just so quick.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of how that whole process happened, man.
That's amazing. Yeah,
That's
Luke
nuts.
Whitehead was a class of you'll probably know a lot of these names, but when I was in high school and playing against guys and going and watching some of the top guys, actually one of your dudes I was pretty cool with, Rashad Hooks, who graduated, I think, a year before you got to Sac State. Mm-hmm. He was the dude where I was from. He was the guy.
Word.
There were Luke Whitehead, because Luke was in like San Francisco area. Mm-hmm. Jeb Ivey was really good. He went to Bellarmine. You know Jeb Ivey?
Sounds familiar. I don't know him as well.
He played Portland State. I think that was your conference.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know if Jeb Ivey.
He was like a point guard, white dude, shooting guard, point guard for Portland State. He was you probably would have played it. Well, you know what?
We would at least put against each other 1 year if he stayed all four.
Maybe 1 year, yeah. But anyway, those were the guys. I mean, this is way before Aaron Gordon at Midi, and like we didn't have San Jose wasn't a hotbed of talent. You know what I mean?
I actually lived in San Jose for a little bit too.
Did you really?
Yeah, man. I went to Toyon Elementary School.
Okay. Wow. So when you were a kid.
Back in the day.
Yeah. Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's born and raised for me. So let's talk about that. So you were not getting recruited at all, get cut sophomore year from your team. You end up at Grant, right? Mm-hmm. And you're playing ball there. How did your high school career go at Grant? And then talk about who all of a sudden started recruiting and what type of offers you had and how you ended up at UMass.
Yeah, man. So, you know, after getting cut and kicked out the house and coming to Sacramento, you know, I was kind of in a position where it became really real that I may or may not be able to move on with my basketball career. So I literally just started like super focusing. I played for another team, another high school out here in a summer tournament, and we played against Grant because I never lived in Grant's district. I lived in Oak Park. And so we ended up playing this other team, played Grant at this tournament. And my cousin Jarrell, who had played at St. Joe's at around the same time as Justin Davis and Landon and there's a couple other guys that were there. He was out here too. He was like 6'7", 290. He was like, yo, you need to come over here to Grant with us. We got a whole slew of athletes and ballers that are sophomores turning juniors. It would be great for you to come over and hoop with us. So we played that game. That night, the coaches came to my house and convinced my mom, like, yo, he got to come with us. Like, you got to let him. So my mom was like, not trying to hear it, but they made sure it happened. And so I ended up going to Grant, man. It was beautiful. I had a coach who really pushed me. I had a community who really supported me. It was completely different than what I had, living in Fremont. And so we end up, I had guys on this team that ended up going to the NFL. I was playing with guys whose work ethic was something that I had never seen before. Paris Warren played for the Cowboys and the Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ontario Smith played for the Minnesota Timberwolves. The year before that, Dante Stallworth, who we know played for the Browns and the Ravens. And so I'm here in a community with guys who, it's one way out. And so when I'll never forget the type of work ethic that I had to build up to, because I was an athlete. I was an okay player. I was able to do some things on the court, but when it comes to actually working and improving my game, Paris Warren would come from football practice with his pads still on, get undressed. Practice would start at 5:30. He'd already spent 2 hours playing football, and he would come in there and fully practice without break, without food, without anything, and would be pushing us to a whole nother level. And so I think that kind of really shifted how serious I took the game. And then we had a squad, man. We went 33-3. We lost to 2 teams all year. Oak Ridge, they just had our number. And then we lost to Tyson Chandler in the state championship. And so we were beating teams in the state playoffs by an average of 25. Average. Wow. Damn. We were beating the brakes off teams. It wasn't even close. We would put this full court press on folks, and I
didn't realize you had that good of a high school team.
Oh man, it was ridiculous.
Wow.
We beat the first team, Shasta, by like 35, and then we beat another team by like 28 and 29. The only real challenge we had was again, and the only reason why we really lost to Dominguez is because they had so much height.
Oh yeah.
Tyson Chandler was a little bit of a hothead at the time. He fouled out, had 5 points, so he wasn't really that much of an issue.
Really?
Yeah, he was
one NBA guy on the team.
Yeah.
he was he would have been younger than you, right?
Yeah, he's younger.
Yeah, because when we played against him in AAU, and you were actually at that tournament playing for the EA sports team. Yeah. And I have a funny story about that too. But yeah, Tyson Chandler, I was kind of a hothead too. Tyson, I got in front of Tyson because they were because we had a good squad, and they didn't have their whole team. They had like some of their high school guys and some other filling guys, so they weren't. If they didn't have Tyson, I'll put it that way, we would have beat him no problem. But Tyson was a monster. This was right before he was going to the league, so he's a beast. Yeah, but I get in front of him, and I guess he swung his elbow out and clocked me right in the back of the head. And so the ball hits the wall. I take the ball. He's heading the other direction. I throw it. It hits him in the back of the head. And so now I got this whatever he was at the time, 7 foot, 6'11", and I'm 5'10". Dude, it was like I was like barely above his belly button, and he's just like looking at it. And I'm acting tough, but everyone's laughing and stuff. But we chopped it up after. He was cool. But
Tyson is got so much energy on the court, but he is probably one of the nicest, most respectful dudes off the court. Like that dude has a pure heart. Like he's good people. He's good.
Yeah, when I talked to him after, I was like, oh, this dude's the nicest guy you could ever talk to.
He's cool. But on the court, you're like,
oh, monster.
Monster. Like
monster.
He knows how to turn it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got this great high school team. That's interesting to know too. I assume you kind of just went back, played at a school, and just were kind of dominating and got some looks. So you start getting recruited. Talk about some of the other schools that were after you, small and big, and how you ended up choosing UMass.
Man. So we go through my whole senior or junior year, wasn't getting anything except for maybe like like one of those fake letters that come from like Washington State, not the real personalized ones.
Right.
And so when that coach comes to see me, who we end up playing for in the Boo Williams conference or tournament, I had nothing up until that point. And so right after that, man, there was Michigan, Arizona State, Oregon State, St. Louis University, USC. Yeah, it was at St. Mary's. It was a lot of schools. Man, it was at least like 25 or more. When I look back at the letters, and I feel horrible that I didn't know as much as I know now, because schools like TCU and even Oregon. And I was like, I'm not living in Oregon. Rain's up there. Like, it's not going to do it. In my mind, I'm not even realizing.
Massachusetts is a bold move, though, bro.
Okay, here's the difference, though. Like, Massachusetts is far, but in my mind, I'm like, I can deal with snow, but I can't deal with rain. You know what I mean? And so the dumbest decision in the world in terms of like rain, snow, what school to go play for. But so the process is going along, and it's coming fast and furious, bro. I remember the first day that you can get phone calls from college recruiters. Michigan hits me up 8 a.m. in the morning. I was like, yo, we got a scholarship for you. You want it, it's yours. Take it. Brian Ellerby, and I forget the other guy. And I was like, yo, I would take it right now, but I still got visits lined up. I still got, stuff going on. I was so nervous I didn't want to make a decision. Yeah. So Arizona State called. In terms of people who came to my house, USC and Henry Bibby came to the house. Wyoming came to the house. UMass came to the house. Oregon. I mean, all these schools were coming in the recruitment process, but I just was nervous. And then one night, Arizona State calls and they're like, yo, Jameel, we're getting ready to go into Josh Howard's house right now. But if you say you'll take the scholarship, we won't even go in. I was like, oh, wow. I can't say that. I got USC coming tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They try to wrap you up.
Quick, too.
And for somebody, none of my family had ever been a part of this process before.
So you were kind of like by yourself and kind of navigating these things, too. And how old were you at the time?
17.
Oh, man, that is crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I would have gone wherever they had the hottest. I would have taken that Arizona State scholarship so fast.
Right. Forget the weather.
Yo, I didn't have no concept
girls,
of
Pac-10,
that,
I'm there.
Yeah.
So, but the other part of it, though, that year, 81 of the top 100 seniors signed early. And so as I'm kind of waiting and going through this process, scholarship just got falling off the table. Right. And, it's funny, what my dream school always was? Let me see. I'll give you guys one guess apiece. What do you think my dream basketball school was?
Dream basketball school.
I was gonna say Michigan, but you said you turned them down.
Give me a hint. Is it a West Coast school? Is it a school near you?
It's West Coast.
Oh, West Coast.
I'll just say
UCLA.
Nope.
I'll say Stanford.
It is.
Is it Stanford?
Stanford.
Man, wow. I grew up on Stanford, man.
Bro, like, I don't care if Duke or Kentucky offered me a scholarship, I would have gone to Stanford.
Really?
I remember as a kid going there for a tournament, for a camp, and just seeing Brevin Knight and all those other dudes. But long story short, so long story short, a lot of those scholarships starting to fall off the table. And my mentor, all he cared about was academics. So first question we would ask is, what's your graduation rate for your athletes? And we were on a visit at St. Louis University, and we asked that question. They had just gotten the job from wherever they came from, Coach Lorenzo Romar. And what's the guy's name that says St. Mary's now? He's doing real well, recruiting all those Australian kids.
Oh, I don't know. He's a former player?
He's not a player, but he was an assistant coach at the time at St. Louis University, but now he's a head coach at St. Mary's in Moraga.
Head coach?
Yeah. Long story short, man, we asked that question. He didn't have an answer, and we were like, all right, we're out.
We talking about Randy Bennett?
Randy Bennett.
Oh yeah, you're right. He's
So
built that program really well.
we go to UMass, and they're like, we got like a 98% graduation rate. Here's our academic advisor who travels with the team. Here's our study hall lady. She looks. You can't turn in a paper at UMass without her correcting, making sure that it's on point,
Oh
right?
wow.
And that's all my mentor needed to hear. You know,
Yeah.
he was like, look, he's here to graduate. Everything else is is optional. So, and we felt really comfortable with Bruiser Flint, great dude. But the one thing that I didn't know, and like we talked about earlier, there wasn't a lot of information readily available about college coaches and the situations that they're in. I didn't know that he was on the hot seat. I didn't know that, if we didn't win, he was going to be fired my freshman year. And so, but the funny thing is, the other 8 colleges who recruited me, they got fired as well my freshman year.
Because they don't tell anybody.
Oregon State. Yeah.
I can't tell you that. Yeah.
We had Nike contract, 10,000 seat arena.
That's a big program, man.
Hey, I would have never have known. I remember as a kid watching them go to the Final Four with Padilla and Canby and some of those guys. But when you get in there and it felt like he got game. You remember that movie where you walk in the gym?
Yeah.
They had my name in the rafters. Saying they built a poster and they inserted me in there, photoshopped me into the poster with the team.
Wow. They went
dope.
the extra mile.
Man, they had billboards, and I'm looking at the campus, man. The dorms were 22 stories high. It just was cracking there, man. Parties was going on. It was dope. So I was like,
cool.
Sign me up. I told him before I left, I'm coming.
Yeah.
What is your knowledge on? Was the program still feeling the effects of? Because Calipari was gone 3 or 4 years before you got there and left that program in sanctions. Do you know that affected the program at all? Did you hear about it? Anything like that?
Other than the fact that you see a lot of empty spaces and where what's his name, Canby's pictures were, and trophies that had to be taken down. I really didn't see much or didn't feel much of it. We didn't have a reduced number of scholarships. We didn't have any ban on tournament play. In fact, we were 1 game away from going to the tournament. Had we beat Temple in 2001, when Temple went to the Elite 8 that year, it was up to like the last minute of the game. I think we even went into overtime. We would have been in the tournament. So it was really nothing. With the amount of televised games that we had, I had no concerns about any sanctions or bans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just watch this again.
Man,
this is a windmill one-hand dunk for those who can't see that we're watching. Jameel.
Yeah.
We did a 360 with the elbow in the rim.
Yeah. So you got to pause it right where my elbow kind of dips in there.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was talking to one of my UMass teammates yesterday, and we were like, man, he sends me all these videos of all these young dudes who are dunking these days. And it was like, yo, if I was to do that same dunk, that I did 20 years ago, now I wouldn't get a reaction.
Right.
Because these guys are doing it. But you know what's funny about Vince Carter? So
talk about this, Jameel.
This is the Vince Carter elbow in the rim dunk.
Hey, by the way,
so
first of all,
from him,
I was there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I remember you telling me all that.
Yeah.
So Vince stole a dunk from me. I stole a dunk from him. Let's just put it like that.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people, I tell the story to people and they literally laugh out loud to my face. And I'm like, no, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So long story short, after getting into this dunk contest in France, where I did this between the legs dunk, and if you know how I jump, I can't jump off of 1 foot. I'm a 2-foot jumper, And there's an interesting story behind that. I'll tell you that later. Jump off 2 feet, do the between the legs dunk, and Slam Magazine, as I was making that rise, like you were saying, JT, like that rise into the top 50 players in the country, Slam got a hold of me and was like, yo, we've been hearing about this kid came out of nowhere, who is got all this athletic ability, blah, 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 blah.
There's you and Slam right there.
Right. So they were originally going to do a story on me just, coming out of nowhere into the top 50 players in the country. But then they heard I won this dunk contest in France, which they called me the world best dunker or whatever. It's like, we want to do a new story. We want to scrap that story, and we're going to do a new story. We're going to send a photographer out to do a photo shoot with you. So when this photo shoot happened, this was in the January issue of 2000 Slam magazine. Vince Carter saw this, right? I was the first person in Slam magazine to have the punk section to himself, right?
Wow.
First person, the front
Wow.
and second page.
Yeah.
Usually it's like 2 or 3 kids or whatever, right?
Yep.
He saw this and was like, yo, that's a dope dunk. Let me try that with a little twist to it. So, I mean, like I said, because the Slam, that dunk contest is in Oakland the very next month, right? This article comes out at the end of January. He does it off the bounce, you know what I mean? And of course, he's more famous, more known. But I did this dunk in October. You know what I mean? The issue came out in January.
Yeah.
So, but at some point in time, he did kind of acknowledge that he had, seen this dunk contest in the magazine and added something to it. And so,
that's
cool. Yeah. So I appreciate him for at least saying that. Not that I had any way influenced Vince. If anything, was the opposite way around, me trying to be like him.
Well, hey, man,
at least he credited his source.
Yeah. The inspiration.
Yeah, right.
And that's a special one, Jameel, because it happened in the Bay too. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, that's a whole Bay Area story. Vince Carter comes to the Bay. You have that dunk. He goes and does it in the which is now arguably the most famous dunk contest there ever was.
Yeah.
I mean,
right?
I can't think of one that was better than that.
Only because of
Seriously.
Vince. Because I'm telling you, I was there. The rest of the contest wasn't much to speak of. But it wasn't. But Vince Carter was crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, that between the legs dunk was crazy. The elbow on the rim dunk was crazy. The reverse 360 windmill.
His first dunk.
Yeah.
That was his first dunk.
And, it's funny. Like, anybody who's ever seen me in dunk contests, they know I have a routine. It's kind of like with Vince, I don't say much. I just, we might go do like a couple layup warm-ups or whatever. But the way I kind of like let my presence be known, I'll just do one thunderous ass dunk where I just cock it back and just try to break the rim, bam, and then I just go sit down and wait for the dunk contest to start.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that sets the tone.
I read something somewhere that you still owe your old high school a backboard.
Oh yeah, I did break that in PE.
In PE, it wasn't even in the game. You was just horsing it.
I
broke it in
street
PE.
clothes too. In street clothes, I was like, oh man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that principal's gone now, so they.
Yeah, you're good.
Me.
You're good.
be
Then
all right.
wipe it clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is funny. Are those your EA Sports shorts you're wearing in this picture?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So
it's funny because are you gonna tell the story?
you
I wonder
go
if
for
you're
it.
gonna tell the story. No, I want to see if you're gonna tell the story that I'm thinking about.
No, it's you don't know this story. Trust me. But
Okay, let's go ahead.
But
Okay, go ahead. You tell me.
You want me to go? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be as good as your story. But we're playing in I think we were at a Long Beach tournament. All right?
Mhm.
And this is the day of or the day before that we play Tyson Chandler and his Dominguez squad, right? We're
Mhm.
watching the EA Sports game. I don't even think I knew. We were out there watching warm-ups. This Deshaun Stevenson was on this team, Joe.
Yep.
And a bunch of other guys. There was another Deshaun out of Fremont that was a
Yeah.
beast. That I've tried to look him up. I don't know what he ever ended up doing, but he was a beast.
Yeah.
He was going around winning all the Bay Area dunk contests.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
I was at some of those hoop it up tournaments where he was winning the contest. So Deshaun Stevenson, who was going to be in the league the next year, must have had a 45-inch vertical. This dude.
Minimal.
Yeah.
So imagine the layup line with Jameel and the Deshaun's.
Yeah.
It was insane. Jameel's dunking down at his chest.
Yeah.
Deshaun Stevenson was probably a little taller. He's 6'5", 6'6". I mean, it was just insane to watch this high school layup line. But we're watching this thing, and it was probably midway through the game. We have to go get ready for our game, and one of my teammates, I'll never forget, his name was Keith. We call him Keith because his teeth were all messed up. So whenever he'd say his name, it came out Keith. And Keith ended up being one of my best buddies. He'd always come down to San Jose and stay at my house. But he stole some of the EA Sports shorts.
What? He got a pair?
He stole some of those shorts out of the bag. And he's sitting there with them, and he's holding them like, how'd you get those shorts? He's like, I just went and took them. I'm like, oh, you just went and stole some shorts. Okay. So,
Yep.
but man, I wanted to be part of this so bad that I said, look, I'll give you $20 for the shorts. He goes, if you give me 40, you got a deal. So I paid him $40.
Paid him 40 for some shorts.
And man, I'm so pissed at myself because I just found those shorts in storage 2 months ago. And I threw a bag away full of stuff that I didn't wear anymore. Otherwise, I would have the shorts sitting right here.
Yeah.
I still got that jersey though from that game. I mean,
man.
playing with them.
Yeah.
That was one of the top programs in the country at the time.
Bro, so let me tell you, few months before that, in Fresno, where EA Sports was ran by Darren Montebar, I was trying to get on EA Sports team because they had like 2 guys from my area already on the team. And I was like, yo, I think I would be a good fit for the team. People were making calls on my behalf. They was like, nah. No, they were just shooting me to the side. So we go down there. I'm playing with South Sacramento something team. I mean, it was like no D1 players on the squad. Just, we rounded up a couple of dudes who was available on the weekends. Like, let's go to Fresno and play in this tournament. I mean, we were playing in reversible mesh jerseys, nothing special at all. Like, you'd have seen us like that team's about to get blown out by 40.
Right.
For sure. They're getting ready to get dogged. But I'm balling in this tournament, killing it, right? And I had a few dunks and, warm-up line, whatever. This is all in Fresno, right? Deshaun Stevens' hometown. And everybody had heard, like, yo, this dude's got hops. He can do such and such and such. So at this tournament, Roy Williams was there. In fact, so when the dunk contest came, everybody was hyped. It was like, Deshaun Stevens is about to go against this kid, Jameel Pugh, whatever. And everybody's kind of like pushing whatever. And Roy Williams is on the DJ booth. He's actually like mixing, like craziness. I was like, yo, that's how you recruit. But either way, so we wait for an hour and a half for Deshaun Stevenson to show up for this dunk contest. Everybody's yelling at Montebar, like, get him up here, whatever. He literally delayed the dunk contest. Wow. He ends up not showing, right? So we end up doing it anyway. And kid you not, like, I did the free throw line dunk, boom. Windmills, boom. 360s, boom. Then I literally had everybody stand up. I walked back to the half court line, right? And at this point in time, I'm still unknown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole right side of the gym is the stands are out and it's packed all the way up to the top, right? Man, I take off and I dunk left-handed. Take off, jump off 2 feet, swing it between my legs, and just come in with a thunderous bam and slam. Bro, I kid you not when I say the entire stands came out of the stands onto the court and picked me up. I mean, people were running around. It was
like a button eater, like a.
I thought I was Rudy, bro. It was like Notre Dame. It was crazy, like, and because nobody had ever seen it at the time, nobody had heard of me. I'm just this random kid.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I'm on EA Sports team.
Wow. Like that.
On the team, jersey, gear, shoes, all that.
So let's get into that a little bit. When we played, Joe's a little younger than us, but I think it was a lot the same for him. We didn't have any social media, right? We didn't have Instagram. We didn't even have Facebook.
Thank God, actually.
I know, right?
True. But tell me how you feel, because nowadays what you were doing, and I know there are a lot of great dunkers now, that what you were doing back then, not a lot of guys were doing, period. But tell me how you think if we had the same social media back then, how that would have affected your career, the recruiting process, and maybe getting discovered sooner.
I think I would have, no shade or not like I'm on that level, but I think I would have had the same type of following as Zion Williams. We watched that kid dunk since he was 14-year-old, just power dunking on people, manhandling
It's
people.
funny you say that, because I told Joe when because we started seeing Zion at the same time. I said, and that's why I'm remembering now. That's why I told you, Joe, at Lighthouse. That's how Jameel came up. Because I'm like, when I saw it, because he sent me the video of this kid, Joe did. And I was like, dude, he reminds me of this dude, Jameel Pugh, that I played against in high school. Because he really does. Because he's not the tallest guy, but he's built like a truck. And that's how you were built. When you walked in the gym, you looked like a linebacker.
I was 15 years old, 6'4" and 220.
Jeez.
You know what I mean? In high school. So, when people, like I said, thought I was a football player, but I played basketball, and 220 was like
It was
sophomore
Zion.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's Zion, same
You were
size.
about to say you were Zion before Zion.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And I was dunking the same way Zion was dunking.
Yeah.
I mean, there's footage of me playing in games where, I'll take off and I'll literally jump over a kid's head. Like I went for one, because I didn't see him. I just jumped and he kind of like was going to take a charge. And I literally cleared his head. One time I did a windmill, because when I'm dunking, I'm focused on the rim. I did a windmill, left-handed windmill on the kid. And he tried to like foul me like this, but because I didn't see him, the whole windmill went through and there's just this. So I think a lot of the dunks because he jumps the same way I do. He's a 2-footed jumper, power driver, gets close to the rim, finishes hard. And because of his weight and athleticism, it's hard to stop a guy like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think I would have been, at that time, 20 years ago, I would have been, and who knows if that would have led to me to be in a more stable path, because I think a lot of what happened in my career, not only having my coach being fired, but having a misdiagnosis on an injury, So when I left, I had a what do you call it, a stress fracture in my right knee. And one of the things that, I love about these new athletes is that they're more careful with their bodies. They're more conscious about their health, because our strength and conditioning coach and trainer, he would ask you one question about your injury. Are you injured or are you hurt? And you would say, well, I'm injured. He goes, well, then you can't play. Well, then I'm hurt. Then you can play.
Right.
And it's not like, do I need to treat this to not allow it to become a bigger issue? So now, after having that injury, it's just never been the same in terms of my athleticism, being able to recover quickly, play ball for periods of time. And it just led to other injuries, torn meniscus, cartilage damage. And so playing for 3 different college coaches in my college career made it very difficult to sustain a skill set and a skill level. Not to say that, I would have gone on and had this great NBA career, but I think I would have went further than playing in the D League and playing in the few countries that I did overseas.
Yeah. You end up going to Sac State, and I saw you had a really strong senior year. And then you go on. I saw you entered the draft 2005 NBA draft. You go undrafted, but you get drafted to the D League by a team in it was Dakota. I don't know if it was North or
Dakota.
South, but they might as well be Central Dakota to me, because I don't know anything about Dakota. But
Canada, wherever.
Right. But what was it like going to Dakota, and what was your experience there?
Bro, it was straight survivor. It was like, I was drafted in the 6th round. They draft 10 rounds. The entire team is drafted. We get to training camp. There's 18 players there for 10 slots. And so every wow,
that pick you there?
Photo. Yeah. That's in New Zealand.
Yeah. Oh, that's New Zealand.
That's New Zealand. Yeah. Wow. That was after the D League. And so it was like every couple of days somebody was getting released from the team. And so I'd never worked that hard to play defense in my life.
Right.
That's one thing. My shot wasn't quite on because I was coming back from surgery. I had the torn meniscus and cartilage damage, which is the reason why I lost the college dunk contest. I wasn't even supposed to go. I'd already been in rehab, but it's like, you got to go when you got to go.
Right.
And so, but I ended up making the team, making the cut. And then 2 months into that, one of the players from the Chicago Bulls got moved down, and then that ended up moving me out of the league. Wow. And so then I signed overseas to New Zealand, balled out there for a little while, but we weren't winning. And so, in this business, you got to win. So I was released from that team, and halfway through the season, I went over to Australia, and I pretty much led the league in scoring. First game, I had 40 points, 20 rebounds. I had one game where I had 54.
Whew.
So I was a gunner.
Yeah.
Didn't see a shot I didn't like.
And
so,
obviously you like to attack. What's that?
How do you feel about that Australian league as a whole? And because we know the Ball brothers, one of the Ball brothers was over there. I think both of them at one point played over there. And that's really gonna be their taste of professional ball before he comes in the league. I think he's gonna be in the draft this year. So how do you feel about, him being prepared in that league coming into the NBA?
He'll be fine, and I think the trend has started. I love the fact that players are exploring the opportunities in different countries. We're the only country that forces our athletes to go to college to play sports. And so over there, they have what's called the Australian Institute of Sport, where these kids are born and bred into the sport that they want to play from the time they, pick up a ball. And I think that's beautiful. There are folks who want to play collegiate sports, and that's fine. You're there for that component of it. But if you're not going to be fair with the compensation, then allow people to, exercise their right to play otherwise. In terms of competition, I think he's definitely going to be well prepared. I think it's going to be better than what he's going to have to face here in America.
Yeah.
You got guys, when you play in a professional league, you got grown men that you're playing against, okay? When I was playing over there, Joe Ingles, who plays for the Utah Jazz, he was playing over there. And so you got other international players who've had collegiate careers here in the States who are down there playing. You have other guys who this is what they do all day, every day. So I think he gave himself such an advantage in terms of being able to focus on his craft, his shot, his game, his health, his body, his focus. I think he's going to be the most prepared kid in the draft in terms of being ready for the league. No one else has had to focus that much on their game. Everybody else has I got to pass this class, I got to do this paper, I got to show up here, I got to travel there. Nah, 100% basketball.
Do you think there's a maturity level, Jameel? Because I knew some guys that definitely would have been ready for that, and then I know some guys that probably should have gotten 2 or 3 years to grow as a young man in college. Do you think it's for everybody regardless, as long as they're talented enough, or do you think college might still be a better option for certain kids?
I think you're going to need people around you to help you decide which is the best for you. But what I will say is one of the things that I learned that grew me up real quick, and I think you'll get this whether you play overseas or whether you play at the collegiate level, because at the end of the day, people are being paid. And Coach Lapis said to me one time after I'd had some off-the-court issues with being late and not taking things serious, he took me aside and says, Pugh, I'm not going to let what you do off the court affect how I feed my wife and kids.
Wow.
That's all I need to hear.
Right.
So to the extent that somebody can get that lesson, I think they'll be just fine. Right. And in both cases, there's some built-in buffers. If you're getting paid to play overseas and you're not focused and getting your stuff done, they'll cut you. You'll learn. Your talent may give you another opportunity, but it's better to learn these lessons early and quickly so that you can understand the magnitude of the moment. And that's one of the things that I didn't get until I was a sophomore year playing under Steve Lapis. I didn't understand the magnitude of the moment of where I was and what I was doing. I was trying to be a regular college student, partying, hanging out, talking to girls. But I was there as a student athlete. And so realizing that a lot of my activity as an athlete was paying for a lot of people's jobs and a lot of different buildings on campus so I didn't understand that. So I think that conversation is happening because of social media. Kids are paying more attention to their brand and how they can monetize their likeness. I love the fact when you go to a football game, there's 90,000 people in the stands and they put the kid's face and name up there. They put their Twitter account. If you're not monetizing that as an athlete when you leave college, then you're losing out on a great opportunity.
Right.
So now they're allowing kids to monetize that while in college, I think is getting there. So these conversations are happening. The society is changing. The conversations are moving. I think we're going to learn a lot. And kids are learning a lot. I mean, I think they get it.
Let's watch a little clip of Jameel here in the NCAA dunk contest.
Brave man to stand there.
Yeah.
You know what I love about that is that we're actually in St. Louis and just playing off the crowd. I went to the store the night before and bought a St. Louis Cardinals hat. And I kind of put that on just to kind of get the people in the crowd like, yo,
listen,
I'll
man.
rock with y'all.
Yeah.
It looked like you gave your hips a little extra to make sure you cleared them. Bro, you were nowhere near that dude's head. You were like a foot over that dude's head.
I was nervous because, man, like, me and John, man, we just kind of met at the tournament. Or actually, we met at Nike camp years ago. But, like, I had tried this with my little cousin who was at the time 15. I had tried this at home with him. But this is a real grown man. I'm like, well, I better get up there.
Right.
Man, I tell people this too. It's like this video isn't even doing you justice because I saw it in person, man. It was like spectacular in person. But these guys in this contest were also seemed to all be taller than you.
They were all taller than me. But the other thing is, I actually had, like I said, I was in rehab. I had a torn meniscus and cartilage damage at the time. I wasn't even supposed to do this at all. I was risking not being able to play for a year. And when I got back home, I had to go straight into surgery, and I ended up not playing for a year. So the damage was actually done, and I couldn't quite get what I want out of myself. But again, but this led to a great opportunity. I ended up getting casted into an HBO TV show with, craziness. I get home, I'm on the couch with the cast, and I'm on crutches. I get a phone call from my agent. He says, "Yeah, man, Jerry Reynolds from the Kings called, says some movie producer wants to talk to you, wants to fly you down to LA for some TV show." I said, "You're full of shit," and hung up on him, right? So he calls me back. He's like, no, I'm serious. I want to talk to you, right? So Grant Haslove gets on the phone or whatever. Maloof Productions gets on the phone. They send a freaking limo to my house to drive me to Sacramento Airport, to fly me down to LA, to put me in another limo and drive me to Universal Studios. I meet with Grant Haslove and George Clooney.
Wow.
What?
Bro. So I get cast in this HBO pilot, right, as the lead actor for this show with Don Nelson, Vlade Divac, 2 dudes from Glory Road, and 1 dude from Coach Carter.
Wow.
Right?
Wait, so did they do any script reading, any table reads?
Bro, they had this footage you're showing right now, and that's what they was like, "You're our guy."
I didn't know any of that. I didn't know any of that.
I had to get a different type of agent who does entertainment and stuff. And I'm looking. I wish I'd have known I was going to tell the story. I would show you the actual jersey that they gave me. It was a fictional NBA team. I was a rookie. Vlade was like the OG who was kind of like, transitioning me into the league. Don Nelson was the coach. They taught me magic tricks, so I had to do like turn 1s into 5s and make things appear. It was so dope. I had
But wait, were you playing basketball for the role?
Yeah, it was a show about an NBA player.
Okay. And you had to know magic.
Character development.
You had to know magic.
I had to know magic, man.
Which makes sense.
So
much sense.
Yeah. They gave me a rental car, had my own trailer, had a hotel room. I was making 10 G's an episode. But what happened was, I guess the producer for the show got into some fight with his wife in a Las Vegas, somewhere in Las Vegas, and they scrapped the show and everything on it. So they ended up paying me for waiting, and they paid me for that episode, which was cool because I had a knee surgery and all that stuff. So I couldn't really do much anyway, So then the following year, I got drafted into the D League for the minor league for the Bulls.
Oh, wow.
So it sounds like it was Survivor's Remorse before Survivor's Remorse. Did you ever see that show?
I haven't seen Survivor's Remorse, but the concept of Survivor's
it's pretty
Remorse.
much that. It was a cool show. The funny part about it was Mike Epps. Have you seen Survivor's Remorse, JT?
No, I've never seen it.
So it was an HBO show that was created by LeBron's production company. Mike Epps was this kid's uncle, which was hilarious. But the kid was like, he was a young NBA player who it was just about him and his crazy family navigating life through, just coming out of the gutter and becoming this super rich young NBA kid. It was a good show.
Sounds exactly the script that they had for us.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was some crazy components of it. I remember doing a scene where I surprised my mom with a brand new car. Yeah. And it was super stereotypical, man. They made me go to the hood, and my mom had rollers in her hair.
Yeah.
She was smoking a cigarette in a bathrobe. And, we come out and we get into this hoopty car or whatever. And she's like, "Okay, baby, whatever." And I do my magic trick. Doot, doot. She looks back and there's a Mercedes-Benz parked across the street and everything.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is when you do television production, man, they control the whole scene. Everybody in the whole block had to stay in their house.
Yeah.
They had police officers, had everything blocked off. So when I come in, I'm looking around like, and we're in the middle of the hood in LA. Like I don't know if we was in the jungle or wherever, but it was not. Yeah,
you were there.
So I was in it. I felt like I was in Training Day, wherever that was. So yeah, that's where we filmed that scene. So it was a cool experience, man. I enjoyed it. You know, just another thing that kind of add to, you know, the resume of life.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, better dunker, you in your prime or Zion Williamson?
That's a hard. Oh man,
I tell people
I'm gonna give
listen,
it to Zion.
There's not enough footage of you out there, man. Like if the good stuff. Do you have any video stuff that isn't online of yourself?
See, I mean, if we would have had camera phones back then.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you literally had to have like one of those big cameras with tape in it to then convert that over.
We didn't even have like how these cameras now. Like I'm sure the cameras you work with too, how you can do video on these. You couldn't do that back then.
Yeah.
You couldn't even do that. It's crazy.
Nah, you couldn't even do it. So I'm gonna say Zion because I think he has really great body control, low center of gravity. And so when you see him move throughout the lane, he knows how to position his body to get to the rim better than I did. Yeah. So I would need a lane, and if you give me a lane, it's over. But if he gets anywhere in the vicinity, he has the ability to make you look like a poster.
It would be like if you had like 30 or 40 more pounds, because that boy is a big. I don't know how it doesn't even make any scientific sense how he gets.
I'm concerned.
I'm
concerned about his health.
I don't know that he can make it through an entire NBA career at that weight, and he doesn't look like he's slowing down either weight wise. Like he doesn't look like it's trimming down. You know.
You know, if you could not only the weight, but just how he plays. Like most of your games, like Blake Griffin, if he wasn't dunking, what was he doing? You know,
right?
And so I think he needs to add some components to his game to offset that athleticism. Because once the help side defense get there, if you're not a great passer, if you can't slow yourself down, because he's in the NBA, it's a lot easier because of the spacing laws or rules. But I don't see his game transitioning too well unless he's just in a up and down type thing, and that could last you till you're 27.
Yeah, true.
You know, there's the thing about Vince is he really developed a 3-point shot, so he can catch and shoot, stand in the lane. He became a great defender, still having some athleticism. But you know, we stopped seeing Vinsanity. Shit, what? 6 years in?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a point in time where we were racing to get home to watch ESPN because we knew we were going to get a Vinsanity moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Every night.
Yeah.
Then after a while, it was like.
Then it was every 5 or 6 games you might get one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caught one, but it wasn't the same. And so I think, you know, over an 82-game stretch, it's a lot different. Or when you're playing in college, it's 2 games a week. So I just hope that he does the plyometrics and the yoga to keep his body loose, and he doesn't tear anything. I mean, I just recently tore my Achilles tendon, and I just, you know, when you're this heavy and this muscularly bound, things become really tight.
Yeah.
And if you're not making sure that everything is loose. I mean, when I got to college, you know, I told you I was 220 in high school. I got to 235 in college. Okay. So I was second, you know, strongest on the team when it comes to pumping weights and squats and all that type of stuff. So I played majority of my career at 235, 240 at 6'4".
It's funny because when I looked at your senior year at Sac State, they had your height and weight on there, and you were the second heaviest on the team. You were tied for the second heaviest, and the other guy that you were tied with was like a power forward or a center.
Yeah.
That's
and so
crazy.
that a lot of times they would play me at the 4 because physically I can handle the 4s and strength and athleticism wise, but when you flip it and I'm on offense, there was nothing you can do with me. I was pump faking and going around those dudes all day.
Man, you were Zion before Zion. That's what I'm telling people, Jameel.
He did.
I got just enough photos to make the argument. You know what I
Right.
I'm on
we about to start the campaign. We about Backstage Sports about to start the campaign though.
Well,
man.
I want to ask you this, Jameel. So real quick, the reason I even ended up on the Rebels, like I said, is I had the best 3-game stretch of my career. I played against a team, not the Rebels, but the Rebels were in that tournament. We played before them. I hit 7 threes. Then we played the Rebels, and I hit 7 threes again. And then we went and played them again in one of their tournaments in Alameda or Oakland, I think it was, and I went for 8 threes. Then the coach comes over, and I can't remember that guy's name because they had a bunch of different teams, right? But whoever the coach I played for was the guy you played in that tournament for. His son was on the team. And so I did a tournament with them. I think we were at El Cerrito High School, actually, one of those schools out there, and where Drew Gooden went, I think. And then my first game for the Rebels, I hit 9 threes against one of the other top teams around. So this was the best, actually, 4-game stretch of my career. Yeah. So then we ended up, that's why they were so pissed that we ended up leaving. And I think they just wanted, like, we got to get this kid Jameel. We got to beat these guys. And you guys did beat us. That team had, do you know Jamal Hill?
Jamal Hill. I'm thinking about, no.
He went to that same high school what everyone Drew Gooden went to and ended up going to Arizona State. And then that team had Austin Nichols, who went to Humboldt State, and then a few other guys that went either D2 or D1. But my whole point is I used to be a pretty good basketball player, and now I'm 38. I'm not even good. I'm not even going to attempt to play. Even as up to 2 years ago, I was still giving young guys work, and I just can't. At 5'10", a guy that's a shooter, it's like a guy who's super competitive. I can't be getting in fights at the gym because these young guys think they can talk shit, Jameel. But are you still playing? Can you still dunk? What's going on?
Man, after I tore my Achilles 2 years ago, bro, I hung it up, man. I mean, but people don't realize sometimes that my Achilles was not just torn, it ruptured. It popped up into my calf.
Oh.
I could not walk for 9 months.
Oh, wow.
So that was incredibly difficult. But shortly before that, I actually moved to Philadelphia, and I was playing ball on the East Coast. At that time, I grew a beard out. My facial hair is gray, and I'm kind of heavy set. And I go to this random gym in Philly. I mean, in New Jersey, and all these young dudes are picking up players and stuff, right? And literally, they look at me. I was like, nah. I guess I got old head.
Old head. They was like, pass on the old head.
I guess I got old head. Can you hoop? I'm like, a little bit. It is like, so.
Oh, I love it.
We ended up hooping, man, and like for 2 games, I'm housing these kids, right? Then,
Uncle Drew. It was Uncle Drew.
Uncle Drew. Straight.
I would pay money to see this video. If there was video, I'd pay money.
Yeah. Yo, let me tell you what happened to this one kid, man. So we were just running down, right, on a break, and the kid's like dribbling on his left hand, and he sees me cutting to the hole, and he looks away, gives me like a drop bounce pass. And I just flash back to what I normally do. You know what I mean? Catch it and go up. So I caught it, and I went up, and this kid comes from the other side of the court, running over there to play like, I don't know what he thought he was going to do, but he just ran over there and tried to jump and tried to, like, stop me. But I didn't see the kid. I went up, and I just thunder dunked on this kid. He fell off my body and slid like at least 11 feet into the wall. I said, he just hit the wall and stopped. And like, I kid you not, these kids were on the ground just nobody out there playing was older than 19, 21.
Oh, wow.
And they fell out on the ground. They ran up to me. They was like, yo, old head, OG, oh my God. They was
That's
and he will never live that down. They will never live that down.
He'll never live it down. Yeah, he'll never. Wherever this kid is, somewhere in Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah,
my bad.
So you were still getting up at 35 years old.
Oh yeah. I mean, the moment when I tore my Achilles tendon, man, I was about to do a ridiculous move. I was killing, and I saw the double team coming. I had like a little short post move. Took a hard step towards the middle. Was gonna spin baseline to go like wrap around and bang on dude. And all of a sudden, this bow, I felt like somebody kicked me or shot me in the calf. I was like, what happened? Who kicked me? I'm on the ground. Everybody's looking around like, bro, nobody touched you. and I tried to get up.
It's funny. Everybody says it feels like somebody it pops and it feels like somebody kicked you, and everybody is looking behind them or something like that.
You look like bro. I saw you go
right. It had to be somebody. Right. Yeah.
So like you just don't just all of a sudden in your path, and like I didn't even realize what happened. I literally didn't realize what happened. They picked me up. They put me on the side of the court. We're trying to like see if I can stand up, and we're holding my leg, and we're trying to do different stuff. And then when I tried to take a step, I was like, oh no. I mean, I thought I was gonna do like Kobe Bryant, walk off the court, hit my free throws. Nah, they carried me out like Paul Pierce, bro. Like it was just like.
And this was in that pickup game, that same pickup game?
This was in the pickup game a couple years later when I moved back to Sacramento.
Okay.
And so,
So you were still trying to do it to him at 37, 38 years old? Wow. That's crazy.
Man. And it's funny because I go back to work. I'm a counselor at a high school. And, I feel like I'm the cool young guy walking around campus. Now I'm riding around on a scooter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like scooter guy, rocking, nice sneaks and kind of being the cool guy on campus. But now it's like, it's scooter guy.
So no more ball for you.
I'm done, bro.
I'm done.
Yeah. And the only way I'm getting back on the court is if I'm working with my daughter to teach her to play the game.
Listen, man, they have this thing for us old heads called TRT, and it can just start rejuvenating that game really quick. That testosterone replacement therapy, little human growth hormone, just feeling like we used to, and all of a sudden there's videos of Jameel at 45 years old, just bring it.
Send me a link, JT. Send me a link.
Hey, I will. I will, because I'm telling you right now, we need more footage of you because people just don't know. And and honestly, this video, and it makes sense that you said you were actually injured when you placed second place in the NCAA dunk contest. And those guys weren't slouches. That was a legit dunk contest. That dude from Mercer was doing some crazy shit. So all the guys they showed were doing crazy. There wasn't one slouch in that whole dunk contest.
It was not, man. And I was actually quite surprised.
And the white dude won it. The white dude won it.
Really? Who was that?
How did this happen?
Exactly.
He was a white dude with a crazy name. Yeah, that doesn't count, man. Guys 6'9" are not supposed to be in the dunk contest.
I know. I'm never a fan of the 7-footers winning the dunk contest.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this, though. When we were warming up and the night before and everybody was going through their process, he didn't do shit, didn't say shit. He just sat on the side like this. So we had no idea who this dude was.
Right.
But he was focused. He was prepared. And he took advantage of the moment. And I think, which was good, you know what I mean? I do appreciate him pushing it to that point and doing the dunks that he did, and he made it exciting. And it's funny because a friend of mine was saying he was sitting next to JJ Redick, and he was pissed off because I think he was betting on me to win. So he was like, how is this guy losing right now or whatever? But, I mean, I was able to – the only reason why I lost is because I missed that last dunk.
I saw that.
I just couldn't get it to go.
It was crazy, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those moments like I just couldn't get over the hump, but
and they wouldn't let you. The rules, if you missed the one dunk, that was it.
It was a time thing. You get like a couple, like 30 seconds or whatever. And so I'm looking at the time, and the ball bounces way over here or whatever. But it was a great experience though. It was a great experience. I won't take it back for nothing, man. But I just wish I was healthy.
Right.
At the time, because I think there was a lot of dunks that, I could have tried or done or just the style of it when I go between the legs, the thunder of getting down, I think it would have been like.
It's funny you say that, man, because I obviously wasn't going to say this. I didn't realize you were injured. But, like, when I'm watching that video, the UMass video looks like one of your dunks. That video, I'm like, don't get me wrong, you're doing some cool shit and you play second, so obviously you're doing your thing. But that's why I mentioned that wasn't doing you justice on the video, and now it makes sense that you were hurt because, dude, I'm telling you, this guy in a gym with Deshaun Stevenson and some great athletic dudes was just like, no one had ever seen anything like what this guy was doing. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
It was definitely like brand new for the time, and it was just like everywhere I went, and so it's funny because we didn't have social media. The legend of what I actually did in terms of my dunks grew and grew. People would tell me stories, and they'd be like, "Yeah, man, I heard you jumped over a car 2 feet, long ways."
Long ways.
Yeah. Hey, I think it was in that Slam magazine article that said you could dunk from the free throw line off 2 feet.
Yeah, there's footage of that.
Really?
There's footage of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did a dunk. You know the best dunk contest I had that there's no footage of? Man, me and James White went head to head at the NBA Players Dunk Contest. It was so crazy. It was a tie. They didn't crown a winner. It was like, we can't give this to either one of y'all. This fool came from the free throw line and did that little rocker dunk that he does, like from the free throw line, 1 foot. So I said, okay. I came from the corner of the free throw line, the elbow, right? Like this. And I mean, we're between the legs, spin. I mean, it went back and forth for like at least 9 dunks.
Really?
And it was like, I mean, literally, it was all kind of NBA players there. And
would we be able to get some footage of that?
No one has it. No one even has photos of it. No one even has footage.
Man.
But if you ever end up talking to like Eddie Curry was there, Tyson Chandler was there. I think Darius Miles was there. Caruth, I think was there. One of these guys went to Kentucky. There was a bunch of players there, man. But I don't know if you remember a kid called the Jewish Jordan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was there too.
Whatever happened to him? He was. There was a lot of hype around him.
He was supposed to go to Maryland, but then I guess because of his religion, he couldn't play on certain days, so he ended up going to another school and stuff like that. So, but he was dope, man. I seen him play. He had some game.
He was as nice as they said.
I don't know if I would have gave him the Jordan.
Right, the Jordan tag.
It just sounded good. It sounded good with the double J.
Stretching it a little bit.
You give him the Jewish Bobby Sura, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or, something like that.
Right.
Jordan. Because his game was so much different. I felt like Bobby Sura had that super athletic, but with the bounce, and he was super athletic and pass and all that stuff. He was so crafty. I think that's how he kind of reminded me more of than Jordan being more of a methodical, do his moves.
Because his game, the way I always heard it, like he was kind of like a Jason Williams or a Steve Nash. Like he had he was fancy and nice. Like
but he will bang on you if you give him a little bit of room.
It'll get
he
up.
Will
too.
Bang on you. Yeah, he'll get on you. I was like, ooh, he get up quick.
Wow, that's dope.
The transaction window for the NBA, the teams to sign replacement players and free agents begins today. And the players the deadline for the players to decline to return is actually tomorrow. So there's a bit of breaking news right now because Jokic actually today tested. It came back that he tested positive for coronavirus. So that's going to be I think that's going to have a big impact on, because Denver was in the 3rd seed, I think, in the West.
Yeah.
So not sure what's going to happen, but the issue now is that the numbers in Florida are spiking. Florida is now recording somewhere over 4,000 new cases every day. And so they're saying that there's some groundswell of players that are basically saying that they're concerned about returning. Would you guys be in favor of pushing the date back and looking for another alternative and maybe looking for another location? Or would you, if you were a player, would you just say, let's go, I'm ready to go?
They need to scrap it. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much money you make, your wealth is really your health. And so this is a disease that is airborne. It's not a sexually transmitted disease. This is from breathing, okay, and breathing on other people. So the way in which it can be transmitted and how quickly it's going to transmit, there's no safe place other than New Zealand. New Zealand's the only country that's reported to have 0 COVID cases recently. So unless you're going to pick everybody up and move them down to the islands, you need to move it down there. But again, I don't think it's and even let's say you win, the Lakers win the championship, and you did it without going through Jokic. Asterisk, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't become a real championship because you have replacement players, you have some of the best players being out for several games. this just becomes it now becomes a gladiator sport. Are we playing Hunger Games now?
It's like the survival of
You know
the
what I mean?
last man standing.
And these replacement players are standing up as tribute. You know what I mean?
If you're still alive, whoever has the most living players by the end of it wins.
You know what I mean? Period. So, are we just watching to see how many people fall off and the impact of this community? So I think, we just need to, as a society, take a breath, take a break, and see and focus our attention elsewhere. I mean, I would love to have sports back, but I don't want to see LeBron for 3 weeks and miss out on the next 3 years.
That's true. So far, we talked about the asterisk thing for a while the past couple of weeks, and I was always a no asterisks guy, because I'm saying everybody is dealing with this thing at the same time. And I always say that COVID is the ultimate equalizer. There's no VIP line. Like there's no economic status that can get you out of dealing with it. And as far as the NBA goes, I feel like all the teams are dealing with the same thing. But like you said, if stuff start happening like this, where Jokic is out, or another star is out. So far, it's just Jokic, and there's only been 2 players to say that they're going to they're not going to come back, and that's Trevor Ariza and Davis Bertans of the Washington Wizards. So far, it's only been 2 players. So if it stays at those guys who don't really move the needle that much either way, and then if Jokic is, because we still have some time, if Jokic ends up going through I guess the quarantine process is still a 2-week thing. So if he still comes back after the 2 weeks, and there's no real, mega losses, I'm like, all right, well, let's push through to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because I've kind of flipped back and forth on it.
Yeah.
I've been all for playing, but
yeah,
I was kind of under the assumption that this was going to get better simply because everybody was quarantined. We were figuring things out. But my whole thing is this: right now, because it's not just with basketball. We'll get into NFL as well and some of the things they're dealing with. But it seems like they shouldn't play. So as soon as Jameel said they should scrap it, I do now kind of feel like they should scrap it. But my problem with it is, I guess they're working on a vaccine, but there's no guarantee that we're going to get something.
You wouldn't give your dog
works.
a vaccine that took 5 months to make.
Yeah.
No,
you wouldn't do
exactly.
it.
Exactly. So my question is, if we don't play now, when are we going to play?
That's true. That part too.
That's what bothers me, because at a certain point, I feel like we've got to get back to life.
Because the next season is supposed to start in December. So do we forego that season? Like
Exactly.
That's the other thing that's kind of a rock and a hard place. It's like I'm on board with like a lot of the points you made, Jameel, as far as like, it might not, especially being in Florida where it's like a hotbed of COVID right now. It's like maybe this is a bad idea, but then at the same time, it's like, what's the end? Like, if you gave me an end date, then I would be like, okay, maybe if the CDC was saying, maybe by 2021 everything will be gone and we'll have a vaccine, but like no one's saying they don't know anything about an end date or anything. So for me, it's kind of like, even by the standards of let's wait and see, there's no plan for that. Like, it's just let's wait and see until when, right? So do we not do the December? Do we not do the 2021 season? Or do we wait another 2 years? You know what I mean? It's like, what do you do?
Not in your generation, my generation, my parents' generation, and a generation before that have we seen a pandemic that has shut the entire world down.
Right.
It's true.
So this is a time frame where no one has a real perspective as to what it is that we're truly dealing with here.
Right.
And I think that is making us all anxious in different ways. And we are searching for some way to get back to normalcy.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I did your little social distancing thing for 2 months now. I wore your little mask when I go in the store for 2 months now. Give me back some of my normalcy of my life. Yeah. And I think that part of it is difficult. I work at a high school, and we got 2,400 students there. We can't go back to school in the way that we have, because when the bell rings, every kid is shoulder to shoulder just trying to get to the next class.
Yeah.
So, and it's not just the impact, because it's not really by the numbers impacting our generation and younger. It's the parents that these kids go home to. It's their grandparents that live in their homes, so collectively, I would be all for players doing some type of skills challenge or doing some other type of basketball related activities or something that gives us a window into their lives and how they're prepping, or maybe we do some like behind the scenes stories. I mean, I feel like they can really turn what's going on with Cam Newton into a story. I mean, every day he's posting some type of workout routine and how he's, keeping himself in shape and working back from an injury. There's so many different players who are doing great things in their communities right now, who are doing great things within their homes with their kids, or just so much content that we are not necessarily paying attention to. And so I think if we could make sports more personal, because how many times when season's out, summertime, how many times are you watching those 30 for 30s, those in-depth analysis of an individual player? Then you're getting even more hype for season because now you have a personal relationship with that player. And so that's what we're missing the mark when it comes to entertainment, specifically with sports. And I think, now it may be time to start, looking at the individualized sports where, I don't want to say just golf, but what other sports are out there. There's things that we.
Oh, we lost you. We lost you, Sam. We lost your Sam.
We
lost your Sam. We can't hear you.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah. So I don't know. If I was playing, maybe if I was a rookie, I'd be a little more hungry to come back.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm, another thing I heard was that there's only 9 players in the NBA that got guaranteed contracts that will be paid during this pandemic, and they're all signed to LeBron James's agent.
Oh, wow. Hey,
that's crazy.
It's a good agent right there.
It's a good agency.
Hey,
I'll tell you what. I know you're not playing anymore, Jameel, and Joe, I know that you haven't been playing a lot, but if they need guys, I've seen the women in Florida. I will go and they can pay me in women. I will be there.
Damn.
100%.
Listen, I
JT sponsored his tribute.
You want to be a tribute.
Exactly.
But it's a beautiful facility where they're going to play. I've been to that Nike World of Sports in Orlando. It's incredible. Any place I would pick, that would be the spot.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned Cam Newton, getting into a little bit of NFL. Tom Brady and some of his guys, Gronk and a few other guys, have been practicing at a local high school in Tampa. But the Players Association in the NFL has been advising everybody and telling everybody to not. What are your thoughts on that? And are we in the same boat, in your opinion, with the NFL, that everything should just be, for now, shut down until further notice?
23 players on Clemson's team were tested positive for COVID. 19 players are in isolation at LSU. We got Ezekiel Elliott, a running back, a guy who touches the ball maybe, 30 times a game, tested positive for COVID. He gets tackled. He can take out a whole defense. So these contact sports, I saw a meme on one of these channels where it's like the new COVID helmets. It looks like a Halo helmet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they can make guys wear those type of things, I think it'd be fine. But I don't think we should play football either. I do think, though, if you can create your own bubble, and these guys have the money to do so, you get Gronk tested and he's fine, and you guys are within your mansion, you stay in each other's houses, and you can kind of keep your bubble kind of clean. That's one thing. The problem is that teams don't exist in bubbles. Friends can,
Yeah.
And so that's the difference. I'm not too upset about those two guys working out, tip-top shape, staying, together. I just don't feel like as a whole we can bring these, because you got to think about every sport. No one plays all their games in their state. You know what I mean? Like, you got to go to Florida, you got to go to Georgia, you got to go to, Texas, college or pro.
Right.
So you're dealing with the spike in Florida, right?
Yeah.
With a state that's maybe on the downside. Did you hear today Delta released that 500 of their employees tested positive for COVID, and 10 have died. So just getting to these different places is transporting.
Dangerous. Yeah. And that's the thing that the NFL is trying to figure out now, is trying to figure out how to, because they're as far as they're concerned right now, the NFL season is going to go on as scheduled, and they don't have a plan for a bubble. There is no bubble plan. The only thing that they know is that there will be no fans in the stands, and Dr. Fauci and the CDC is like, nah, like that's not gonna work. So,
when did people stop listening to scientists?
I don't know, but it's like a thing.
When did
It's
that
running
become a
rampant.
debate?
Yeah, it's like a thing now where people are like, well, I'll just, this guy on Twitter said that we're good. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yo, somebody told me this a long time ago. That it's like, beliefs are stronger than facts.
yeah. Yeah.
Because if you believe something, no matter how much evidence I give you, you will not be convinced.
Yeah.
There's too much, and this is a downside. There's a lot of downsides, but this is a downside of social media and how you can get messages out there so much easier now, is that everybody can look like an expert.
Yeah.
So you want to write a book about how the Earth's flat? Well, guess what? Kyrie Irving is going to believe you, and he's going to sound like an idiot every time he talks about it.
He's going to sell it to his followers, and they're going to buy the book.
Man,
yep, exactly. No, that's true. I think we got, at some point there'll be a shift and an awakening in that, and people will get back to real news organizations. I mean, this 24-hour news cycle, both in political and sports, has made, salacious topics more important than real facts.
That's true.
And so,
Jameel, you're about my age. So when you were growing up, watching a Mike Tyson fight was like a cult event. Right.
Yeah, but it only lasted 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
You go to the bathroom,
you had to huddle around as a family like you were about to
Yeah.
watch a 2-hour event, and you watched it. Sometimes it was 12 seconds, 8 seconds.
Yeah.
But how excited are you that Jamie Foxx is going to be playing Mike Tyson in this biopic?
I tell people all the time, Jamie Foxx is the absolute best actor, bar none. I love Denzel. I love Pacino. I love all these guys, but Jamie Foxx is the most well-rounded actor that you can name. He can sing, he can do comedy, he can do serious stuff, he can do biopics. I mean, you watch Ray, and you thought you were watching.
He smashed Ray.
Exactly.
He killed Ray.
I don't even picture Ray. I can't even remember what Ray Charles looked like. I just had Jamie Foxx in my head now.
You see Jamie Foxx, like, he made you believe in that character and sang those songs and had those emotions. And so I think the more opportunities he gets, he shows his range. I think he's just the most talented individual. And for him, he's going to have that voice down. We know that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I can't wait to hear that.
Kill the voice.
I just want to see if he can get to the point where the athletic emotions of being an athlete. You see actors all the time try to play hoopers. And we're like, nah, bro, we don't shoot like that. We don't dribble like that.
But
you know who killed that?
That's the other thing is Jamie's actually a legit athlete.
Yeah, he is. Jamie's, but you know who killed that, which he will probably lean on? Because the two best biopics, in my opinion, as far as like actors portraying, they're those legends was Jamie and Ray and Will Smith and Ali.
Yeah.
He murdered Ali.
Yeah.
Well, did you watch? I mean, we gotta say Malcolm X with Denzel Washington. You also gotta look at what Ice Cube's son did in Straight Outta Compton.
I put Ray and Ali over all of those.
I will.
But what helps in both of those is that Will Smith is he's also a legit athletic guy. Played basketball. We've already seen Jamie in Any Given Sunday, but he was a legit high school athlete. He was like a 2 or 3 sports star. So I think in every single way, he's gonna nail this thing.
Oh yeah,
I think it's got
expectations are high.
Oh yeah,
they're high. Yeah.
What about the brother who played in the same year? He did James Brown. He did Robinson.
Jackie Robinson.
42. Jackie Robinson.
Who was
and
that?
He did somebody else and he was in Black Panther. I mean, he had a hell of it. Like, you had those 4 amazing games of your life. He had 4 amazing movies of his life.
Yeah.
Forget the dude's name.
Oh, Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman.
I didn't even see either the Jackie Robinson movie or the James Brown movie. I didn't realize he played both of them.
Gotta see him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Gotta see
killing
him,
too.
brother.
Then
Gotta see him.
I'm gonna check him
Yeah,
out.
he caked on those.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's a range of playing an athlete and a musician.
oh yeah, and then a comic book character.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
I want you guys to, before we get out of here, check out what's happening with
Dude, this is crazy.
It's like a race. It's like a race to be the skinniest. Now, this is completely the opposite effect of I think almost everybody else that I know who's been on quarantine, where everyone has like ballooned. Marc Gasol and Jokic have literally shrank into nothing.
Listen to me. I thought this picture of Jokic was oh man, I'm gonna forget his name. I always forget his name. The guy that plays for Dallas with Luka.
Oh, I thought that was. That's what I thought it was. I didn't even know.
Yes, I thought it was Porzingis. I thought it was Porzingis. And this,
until you just said that, I thought we were looking at Porzingis.
I thought, like, because I saw this about a week ago, I thought it was Porzingis. And this picture here, I saw yesterday for the first time, and I thought someone took Marc Gasol's head and put it on somebody else's body. That's crazy.
It's crazy. And Marc Gasol used to be the size of a linebacker.
Yeah, he was a big boy. He looks like his brother now.
He looks like his brother. He looks smaller than his brother.
It's crazy.
But I guess being at home, they just leaned into their nutritionist and their workout. They just probably
crack. You know, they moved to the States. They discovered crack, and their lives changed.
And that weight fell off.
Man, no, they went home to Spain and France. We don't get prosecuted for it, and then they got on it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's so crazy.
Yeah,
Jameel, what So still talking about the end of your career. How did you decide to hang it up, and why, and what was your last season? Where did you play your last season, and then get into what you've been doing since then?
So I ended up playing like for 2 weeks in Mexico, and it just was not a great experience. We played 2 games. We took 18-hour bus rides between the cities. We're riding to one city, and the federales jump on with machine guns, and they're searching us. And I'm just like, then I get home. They didn't pay me. They cut me from the team. They sent me with 2 guys who didn't speak English, even though I spoke a little bit of Spanish, to drive me from Piedras Negras back to San Antonio. And, we didn't get across the border in time. I missed my flight. I was sleeping on my bags. I just was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I get back home, and, coming back home to Sacramento, with all this hype that I had in terms of being an athlete, so many people didn't want to see me hang it up. So much of their dreams and aspirations I was embodying those for them.
Yeah.
My mom included, and that they did not want to see that happen. And so I decided I wanted to be done with it. I remember going to church and like going to the front altar, and I was like, all of a sudden I just started crying, and next thing you know, they threw the cape on me or whatever, and I looked up and the whole church is gone. I'm like, dang, how long have I been up here? And so, but I think at that moment I really realized that I was done with this, because I just, I always knew in my heart that I was more than an athlete. I know that's cliche now because LeBron talks about that, but even when I was playing ball in New Zealand or Australia, I was interning at the news station. I actually started the first sports reporter athlete position there, where I was reporting on the sports news while playing sports. Yeah. And so I was doing things that was transitioning me into a professional career before I got done playing ball. And I always thought about that because John Sally talked about, Steve Young going to law school while he was playing for the 49ers. You know what I mean? How he was trained to be a sports commentator during his last few years. And so for me, it was always like the bigger picture of what life could be afterwards. Yeah. When I got home from playing, after playing in Australia, New Zealand, and Mexico in the D League, I ended up getting a job as a behavioral therapist with autistic kids. Did that for a while, but I got my big break working in the youth development department for Sacramento City Unified School District, and I just fell in love with the idea of helping young people position themselves for college and for careers. I did that for a little while, I'm into the media stuff, video making, films. I've done 2 documentaries and stuff like that. So I quit my job one year, moved to LA, thought I was going to become this documentary filmmaker, and was unemployed for an entire year. And I was like, and at the end of that year, my stepmom, who was working in Baltimore, told me about an organization, a workforce development organization, and they were hiring for people in Philly. And at the time, my girlfriend and I were both in LA. She's working on her doctorate at USC. I had just finished my master's at USC. And I was like, hey, you know, unemployment insurance is ending. You know, I think I might need to take this job because I don't want to be a freeloader. Mm-hmm. So long story short, they fly me out to New York. They offer me the job the next day. I fly back home. I end up accepting the job in Philly. And I got into this industry of workforce development. And I just fell in love with the idea of helping young people transition from high school into careers. Did that for a year, got engaged, moved back to Los Angeles, did some more workforce development work. And then now I'm here in Sacramento as a college and career counselor, where I'm, you know, working with young people in very similar areas. I'm getting my doctorate in human resources and workforce development, along with the many side businesses that I do. And so I just have tried to take all of my experiences and all of my knowledge and find ways to profit off of them. And it's been great, but also do things that help my peers in my community. And so it's kind of how all those things have kind of like, you know, started to mesh and build this quilt of experience and professional skill sets that I have.
Wow, that's incredible. And the photography you've got going on, you've got Jameel Pugh Photography, you've got Bowtie Pics, and then you've got, tell us the other company as well.
XTG Media. So the Jameel Pugh Photography and XTG Media are kind of built into one now. Essentially, I do websites, videography, podcast production, and product photography. Bowtie Pics is more of my signature brand, where I do weddings and portraits and commercial photography. And so I kind of run those two. And then I'm starting a college advising business. Not like Rick Singer. I won't be paying colleges to get your kids in, but I will be helping you through the process. So I'm working on that as well. But it's been so beautiful to kind of, you know, in doing this work with the website building and the videography and the photography. Like, I'm working with a super large organization here in Sacramento called Mutual Assistance Network, and they do a lot of this community development, whether it's economic development, social development. They're doing courses to help people with their kids, and they're doing job trainings. They're doing gang intervention and prevention. And so I'm engaging with people from all different walks of life who are just working to make Sacramento a better place. And prior to that, I worked with an organization called Her Health First. And see, I'm like, I mean, I totally rebrand these folks. I do their websites, I do their logos, I do their whole feel. So it's just a way to do that. But I never went to school for any of this digital stuff.
Right.
You know, I got my undergrad degree in child development, my master's degree in leadership, and of course now I'm doing my doctorate in workforce development and human resources. So this creative side of, you know, being able to be on the sidelines of NFL games and NBA games is a dream come true. It's incredible to be down there and to, you know, it's dope.
Yeah. And just to let everyone know watching, because we weren't filming when we were first talking, all the photography behind you is all shots you've taken.
Yeah. I mean, this shot right here, I absolutely love. I printed out big. It's Marshawn Lynch. You know what I mean? But I got shots up here of.
You know why he's here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
so I don't get fined. But I mean, you know, shots of Russell Wilson. I was standing right on the side when Saquon Barkley jumped over the dude's head, and you know, Eric Armstead and OBJ and Patrick Mahomes. And I mean, it's just like, and this is just some of the NFL stuff, but I do have some NBA stuff. I have quite a bit of college stuff. And it's an expensive habit, man. I know you pulled out your 5D Mark IV. I'm going to pull out my Sony 7R Mark IV with my 24mm lens. And so I just love this, man. This stuff is expensive, but it opens up doors. I mean, few years ago, I got a random call to go film interviews at the NBA Hall of Fame. Interviewed Adam Silver and David Stern. Interviewed Calipari and all these guys, Dikembe Mutombo, Lisa Leslie.
Wow.
So it's just having this camera has opened more doors for me than I can imagine.
That's amazing.
Was even possible. Yeah,
that's incredible. I met Dikembe once in Texas. Man, that dude's so tall, dude. That dude is so ridiculously tall. Do you keep in touch with any of these guys that you played against, like Tyson Chandler, any guys that ended up going on playing in the league?
I'm so out of that sports world, not as much. Some of my high school teammates that played, professionally, like Dante Stallworth, Paris Warner, Terrell Smith. I talked to them. I talked to Paris yesterday. Every now and then I'll, engage with Matt Barnes. Trying to think anybody else. Adrian Ross, who played in the NFL for quite some time. Sometimes I'll come in contact with these guys when we play these little celebrity games, local celebrity games. I'll engage with them. But my world now is really education.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of rocking with the all-stars of education at this point. People are doing community work.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's funny. I'm almost at the point where people don't know me for my basketball.
Right.
Where people know me for what I've done since basketball, and so that's always been a goal of mine, to be equally accomplished in both arenas.
Yeah. Right. Well, as we get older, we start to realize the things we thought were important. I know I go through it too, because first and foremost, my basketball career was done way before yours, and I was a good player, not a very good or a great player like you were. But you start realizing there are other talents and things you want to chase. But then you also start realizing, as we get into our late 30s, like, oh, there's more of a legacy that I want to leave than just what I've accomplished.
Yeah.
Or what, you know what I mean? If I leave this earth and I haven't helped people and really made it a point to make it a certain percentage of my focus that I'm going to help other people get to where I've gotten or beyond or whatever they want to do, then what have I really done? Right?
Yeah. There's a really cool cartoon movie we watched with our daughter called Coco, and it's about remembering your family, right? It's like getting
I'm
on the ofrenda.
I've seen all the Pixar movies.
Exactly.
All of them.
So me and my wife always joke, like, what have you done in this world where people are going to remember you forever? And I'm like, maybe people will remember my basketball stories, but I want all of these young people who I've helped get into college or get jobs or change their lives because I've expanded their horizon of what they thought was possible for them. I always tell this one story about a young girl, my first year at the high school. Kid was incredible. I mean, she was really decent student, 3.8, 1100 on the SAT. She was doing all these extracurricular activities, and I put her on my leadership team because I just wanted to help support her and position her to, move forward in life. Well, at the end of her senior year, she's going to visit like Howard University. I mean, and I was like, Howard is great. I love that. But I also want you to go look at Georgetown. She says to me, no way possible I get into that school. That's where the president's kids go. I said, no, I really believe that you can do this. I said, here's $20, bring me back a pennant from the school. She's like, all right, Mr. Pugh. She comes back with a sweater and hat and all this other gear and stuff like that. She's like, oh my God, I love this school. This place is incredible. And so I said, well, let's apply. And so we went through the process to apply. Now, keep in mind, going to Georgetown is $83,000 per year.
Yeah.
This is a kid who's got a single parent who has multiple sclerosis, living off of disability checks, okay? And I'm building her mind to say, this is possible for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we go through the process. She not only gets accepted into the college, financial aid covers about 60,000 of that. Georgetown comes back and says, we're gonna cover the rest. She's going on her senior year now at Georgetown University, completely free.
Wow.
And so I would rather be remembered for changing the trajectory of her life.
Yeah.
Than, well, I think I want to keep the basketball stuff too, but I want those things to be neck and neck.
Yeah, you need them both there. Yeah, listen, I was just going to say, obviously we've never spoken before. I really appreciate you coming on. Reaching out to you was kind of a long shot. I was like, man, this guy doesn't know him. I didn't even talk to him, and I wasn't very good. So it's not like he's going to remember me from that one game where that little white dude went off for 50 or something like that. But I also had no idea. I didn't know what to expect, man. I didn't know how intelligent you were, or what else, the amazing things you've been doing. I'm beyond impressed. So I would love for you to come on again soon.
Please, I would love to have it, guys. I appreciate this format, and while we're in COVID time, let's do it. I got time.
Yeah,
absolutely. We'll make it happen soon.
Thanks so much for coming on. Tell the people where they can follow you and support anything that you are putting out in the near future.
Absolutely. If they can follow my sports photography at XTG Media, that's XTG Media. I think you'll find a lot of great content there. Pretty soon, I'm going to be dropping my college and career counseling business, where you can follow that at college2career.com. So college2career. Working on the book that should be dropping soon. So I think if you look at those two platforms, you'll pretty much find significant content.
All right, yeah. When we have you back on.
Oh, and Bowtie Picks for my other brand, which is BOWTIEPIXS.
Okay. Next time you come on, we got to get into this stuff that you've got coming out soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Man. All right, you guys take care. Have a good
You
one.
can find us at Backstage Sports everywhere on all social medias. Make sure you follow, subscribe on all places where podcasts are available. Make sure that you put on your notifications on the YouTube page so you know when we are dropping a video. I'm at Joe Connor 33 everywhere.
Subscribe. Smash
the subscribe button.
At JT Harker for me, and the new single Drunk People came out June 5th, and it's doing well. Go stream it.
Until then, this has been the Backstage Sports Podcast. Everybody be safe and be great. Peace.
Backstage Sports.